Hello everyone, it's Rekkles. I know you probably have a lot of questions about my move to G2, so I decided to make an interview here today to hopefully answer some of your questions and shed some light on the matter. So if you have anything that is not addressed, please type it down below and I'll try to answer. And if not, just enjoy the video.
I think we have to go all the way back, and it's been a long time since you've been on one team. 7 years with a short break. Just talk a little bit about how those 7 years went by for you, like how you developed as a player, and overall what changed from when you joined Fnatic originally until today.
I think a lot of things changed. The one that comes to mind first is, I guess, when I joined, I was the young one, the so-called like up-and-coming superstar, and was playing under the wings of older, experienced players and got to learn from them how I was supposed to behave as a professional player. And I think now, 8 years later, I'm kind of in their shoes, trying to nurture these young talents coming in and trying to help them become something within esports. So it's been a very different sort of feeling to be in the team from day one to now, but a lot of good learnings, I would say. I think this whole transition of being like the young one, the one that don't have any responsibilities, just play the game, do your thing, versus this now sort of captain of the team is two completely different styles of how you have to do things on a daily basis. So I think it's been a really healthy experience for me to be on both sides of this coin.
Staying so long with one team is a big commitment that speaks a lot about your loyalty, and you've publicly been very loyal.
Yeah.
So obviously to people it came as a question also when you left Fnatic for the first time.
Yeah.
So maybe you can explain what's different now between that time.
So back when I left for Alliance, or soon to be called Elements, my original thought was, this is the team that will give me the highest chances of winning. Now in hindsight, obviously I know I was wrong, but I don't really feel regret in the sense that I made a bad decision, because I think in that moment when I made the call to move to Alliance and later on becoming Elements, I did it because I thought it would give me the highest chances of succeeding. It wasn't anything to do with money or fame or creating chaos. I've always just sought the victory, sought the success, and I thought, in the 2015 spring season that would be Elements. Obviously, again, I was wrong, which is why it's very scary now to sit here once again with this just around the corner. But it helps to feel that I keep making these decisions based on the fact that I think it's what's gonna get me the furthest in terms of success and victories, not in terms of anything else, because that's who I am. So it helps a lot to have that feeling. I guess for me, it's just never been of interest to see what's going on the other side, if the grass is greener. I've always tried to play the year or the split in the team that I believe would have the highest success or the highest chance of victory. So basically that's been Fnatic every year, other than the split after we lost to Alliance, which I thought would be, the new kings in Europe, and it turned out to be they were just the new kings for one split. But the idea has always been there. I've always wanted to play for a team that have the highest chances of doing the most damage in all the tournaments they participate in, and I, up until this point, thought that was Fnatic, basically. I feel a bit ashamed in a way that we managed to get surpassed by G2, because it was kind of my task to defend that legacy, I think, after I got the reins from the older players that nurtured me back in the day. So in that sense, I feel kind of ashamed because I didn't manage to do it. But at the same time, I don't think it's embarrassing in the sense that we lost to teams that were bad by any means. G2 has always been a fantastic team. They've been basically number one since the moment they joined the LCS, later to become the LEC. I think only 2 splits they have failed so far in being the champions, and one of those they lost to us in the finals. And the other one they made just afterwards, semifinals at Worlds. So they've never really had like a downtime where the team hasn't been successful, which has happened in Fnatic. So I think that also speaks for G2's excellence in not only who they can manage to, put together for the roster, but also just like their sheer will as an organization to always be top dogs in whatever they do.
So a lot of people will definitely be saying that you're essentially going back on your words, and you said that you're gonna stay in Fnatic as long as they're gonna keep you, So obviously your mind shifted at some point.
Yeah.
So how did it happen? Or was it G2's domination and you not essentially being able to get that first spot that sort of forced you to think about a change?
It's quite, like I don't see myself as a dishonest person, so it's quite hard to be able to not keep my promise to them to stay for as long as I play the game. Basically, I feel quite bad about this, but at the same time, up until this point, I always thought they were the team to play for. I didn't see G2 coming like this. I also didn't kind of see that like the possibilities of winning Worlds were there. I feel like up until 2018, everyone just kind of participated in Worlds. They never really went there to win. As a Westerner, as an Easterner, it's always been different, right? But as a Westerner, it's always been, you go to Worlds, you hopefully make it out of groups, or maybe to a semifinals, and then that's the end of your story. So after 2018, I realized we very well might as well be champions one day, again, here in Europe. And then the whole thing of, staying in one team and just being happy regardless of results kind of died away from me, because I realized these are very important years, important moments for me to take advantage of. And I think that's kind of tying into then seeing G2 as like the team that I think can give me these most important years and important moments. I think they are the team, as you've probably seen yourself now these last couple of years, that have just the most sheer will of being the champion at the end of time when it comes to at least European teams. So I just think if I don't take this opportunity to be a part of that, when that's basically all I stand for, then that's being dishonest with myself as well. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation where either I'm dishonest to myself in regards of not keeping my promise to Fnatic, or I'm dishonest to myself in regards of, am I actually doing this to win, or am I doing this for something else? So I think I have to take that opportunity and be honest to myself and just do my everything to win everything I'm a part of, or like everything I play.
Just following up on that, just to get maybe a little bit. So would you say then the finals run was what sort of elevated you to a next level? And maybe you can actually say, because that's like the highest achievement so far you've had in your career, and you said that you would feel like winning MSI would sort of mean the same thing. There must have been some sort of a switch after coming that close.
So I think for sure losing in the finals in 2018, or just making it to the finals in the first place, made me realize it's very possible as a European or Western team to create some damage at the world stage. And as we've seen now lately, like G2 is the team that creates the most damage. So I would love to be a part of that. I think it's basically saying itself, like I started doing this because I wanted to be the best, and that means winning worlds. And I think G2 has a very similar mindset in that regard. So I feel like we, in one way, we're like made for each other, because I know they really want to win worlds, and I've always been, I think, one of the few who believed, or at least ever since 2018, I've truly believed that it's possible. So I think it like lines up pretty nicely with one another. But for me individually, I would say it wasn't even like specifically that moment that made me believe. It was more up until like 2017. I don't think I was a great player when I look back. I was good, more than fine. Probably people would even say I was maybe the best at the time. But I think if I look at like my strength as a player from like 2017 to now, it's a completely different beast in comparison to what I was before then. So I think at that point I kind of realized like I have a lot more to give or a lot more to do than just being a participation kind of guy that, you know, goes to every event or every finals or every worlds but never really wins anything. I think the 2017 season and onwards has been like a wake-up call for me to realize that like I'm just as good as anyone else if I put my mind to it. So we came back from worlds and I had no other plans than staying in the team because I thought we actually had a pretty decent run at the end of things. Like sure, we didn't win the spring finals when we were the favorites going into that, and we barely made playoffs in summer, and then, you know, got smashed again in the finals once we made it. Like it's not a clean year by any means, but when you look back at it, it's still 2 second places and a top 8 at Worlds with a year you then consider not being great. So what then if it is great? So I thought like for sure, now we come back from Worlds and everyone's just like super committed to the cause. I tried my very best to help like the entire time. I gave my opinion in regards of, you know, what we should do with the roster, what we should do with the coaching staff, what we should do in like maybe just daily routines as well once we come back to Berlin, because I think a lot of our problems actually this year were from process failures. It wasn't necessarily like in the moment us failing on the day. It was much more like we didn't have the healthy process that I think you can have to have a better time. Basically, I think you can do a lot of things differently throughout the year to then help you a lot in these most important moments that you basically judge your entire year off of. So I feel like I was never really like a deciding factor in what we wanted to do with the team, but I, just as anyone else in the team, obviously like just tried to help as much as possible to make sure that the team is at its best, and that's why I'm kind of scared of them next year now. I think they have like a lot of good pieces of the puzzle that like I wouldn't mind being a part of that, you know. It's just when G2 comes and asks me like, hey, do you want to play with us? Then I think that's just like, that's the next level that I need to take. So I don't think they're in a bad spot if that's what fans are worried about. I think they are going to be more than fine, and probably the challenge for us in a potential finals here in spring, which is kind of strange for me, I guess, to play on the opposite side, but I'm trying as well to keep my expectations like reasonable, because I know now it's super easy to go into like, oh yeah, I'm joining the champions, the ones that win every split, the ones that, you know, make those world finals, wins those MSIs. Like the expectations here are easily, I think, too much, because if you just expect to win everything and never have any issues, then I think all you're gonna have is disappointment. You won't even be happy when you win, because that's to be expected, right? So I'm trying really hard to not like put too much pressure on myself or my teammates, because I know it's still a new challenge to make changes. Like I've been a part of 8 or 9 different rosters now, where it's just with the smallest change, like one roster change, or even just like a new coach or a new manager, it's instantly a completely different atmosphere and environment that you work in. So I'm trying to look at this like, yeah, like a healthy thing, not an unhealthy thing, which I think it can easily turn into.
So I think you gave a lot of context now, and maybe you can say something like to the fans that feel actually heartbroken about this, because a lot, like when you spend so much time with the team, a lot of your personal fans are also the team fans and the other way around. And so of course some of them are gonna follow you, some will stay, but what is that you want them to sort of know about you making this choice?
I guess I want everyone to know that I'm not leaving on bad terms. I wasn't last time either. I think that's maybe a wrong notion that people have, that like I left on bad terms or it was personal to anyone, which is not true. It's just, I have this dream of like, yeah, being like the player everyone remembers, you know, when they look back at time. And I always tried to make choices based off of that. So when I left for Alliance back in 2014, that was the same feeling I have today now that I'm leaving for G2. It's just because I have this dream and I really want to reach it. So it's not personal to anyone, or it's not like something is wrong. It's just, yeah, I think in some sense I just have to be selfish here and try my best to reach that dream. But obviously it hurts to leave some people. Like for example, I think I created a really good relationship with like Gabriel, Bippo and Stravets Hilly. I think we had 3 pretty amazing years together. I know we didn't win anything. I guess we won two splits in 2018, but that's easy to forget now that we've lost 4 in a row. But even then, it just felt like an amazing journey we had together. Had 2 years as well now with Nemesis recently. But again, we also had a great time together. We had a lot of issues, but he was always there for me. So like I have specific members maybe that I very much feel like somewhat sad to leave behind. Even Selfmade, just a year together as well. It's strange when you think back to it, you know, how much time you spent together. And even before that, I've played with Broxa for 2 years as well. Sawas was there as well for 2 years. You go back further, you look at like playing with Febiven for 2 years, playing with Yellowstar for a couple of years. It's names and people I feel like I will have either way, but it's sad to leave them behind. But again, it's nothing personal, it's nothing wrong, it's just you have to follow my dream. Thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any more questions that I did not address in this video, please do type them below and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you're curious about more, I made another video together with G2 on their YouTube channel, which you can find below in the link, where I talked about my expectations on the team, my feelings, my worries, all that kind of stuff is addressed in that video.